to set the tone for this event, Ghana's Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration, the Honorable Kweku Amprichum Sapong. As a proud son of Africa, please welcome him warmly.
Your Excellency Nana Abdankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency Mr. Musa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the African Union Commission, Your Excellency Catherine Samba Panza, former President Transition Central African Republic, Your Excellency Ambassador Bankole Adeoye, Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security at the African Union Commission, Your Excellency Ambassadors, members of the Peace and Security Council, Your Excellency Foreign Ministers of Senegal and Angola, distinguished participants, media personnel, ladies and gentlemen. I'm standing here in the shoes of my Honorable Minister, Shelley Ayoko Boche, who is out of town on government business. It is with such great honor and pleasure that I welcome you to this reflective forum that is being organized by the African Union Commission in collaboration with the government of Ghana. I extend my warm greetings to all our distinguished guests who have shown up in your numbers to participate in this forum. It is most appreciated. Africa faces the resurgence of political instability, which has caused a major setback to the efforts we have all made towards the achievement of Agenda 2063. That's the African we want. The African Union is earnestly working towards the management of the incessant unconstitutional changes of government in Africa by adopting a number of normative frameworks such as the Constitutive Act of the AU 2000, the AU Protocol on Peace and Security, the Lomé Declaration of July 2000, and the African Charter on Democracy, Election and Governance, 2007, among others. However, military coups and takeovers are gradually taking over the African continent, as have witnessed particularly in West and Central African countries, and continues to pose challenges to peace and stability on the continent, despite efforts of international and regional organizations such as the United Nations, ECOWAS, and the African Union in condemning this worrying trend, as well as imposing sanctions on these countries. It is therefore for this reason we are here today at this reflective forum themed unconstitutional changes of governments in Africa. The objective is to reflect on the phenomena of unconstitutional changes of government in Africa with the aim of proffering enduring solutions to the problem. It is also noteworthy that the normative framework and responses of the regional blocs and international organizations towards peace and security in the continent identify lapses such as the lack of conceptual clarity on unconstitutional changes of government, varying application of sanctions and their outcomes, lack of a structured continental early warning mechanism for unconstitutional changes of government, weak early response, insufficient human and financial resources, and weak coordination between AU and the regional economic communities, among others. That is, the objective of this forum is to discuss and identify gaps and permanent solutions, review and strengthen the normative frameworks, recommend measures to sharpen and improve partnership between AU and regional economic organizations, or communities, and member states on constitutional changes of government in Africa. And finally, to develop working documents for the extraordinary summit of the AU Assembly scheduled to be held in Malabo, Equatorial Guinea from 27 to 29 May 2022. His Excellencies, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Ghana has demonstrated in many ways their commitment towards the achievement of peace, stability, and security in Africa. Ghana's agenda after her elections to the United Nations Security Council for the term of 2022 to 2023 is focused on enhancing global peace and security for sustainable and inclusive development, particularly on the continent of Africa. It is therefore important to note that Ghana has continued to display her total dedication to the realization of this goal and its desired results. It is my hope that this forum will provide opportunity to sharpen the strategies to promote constitutionalism and the rule of law for the overall enhancement of peace, security, and stability in Africa. I therefore urge all present to commit themselves fully to making solid contributions towards the overall enhancement of peace, stability, and security across the continent. I wish you fruitful deliberations and a successful conduct of this forum. Please find time to enjoy your proverbial Ghanaian hospitality. I thank you, and God bless us all.
We're grateful to you, Ghana's Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Kweku Amprechum Sapong. Talking about constitutional rule, it is fit that I acknowledge in the presence of the President of our Republic, Ghana's Minister for Justice and Attorney General, the Honorable Godfred Yeboah-Dame, who joins us. Thank you very much. In his company also is Ghana's Minister for Interior, the Honorable Ambrose Derry. Thank you very much for joining us. In moving on, we would like to have another welcome remark from the permanent representative of the Kingdom of Lesotho to the African Union and chairperson of the AU PSC for the month of March 2022. Please make welcome His Excellency, Professor Mafa Sajanamane.
Your Excellency, Nana Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana, Your Excellency, the Your Excellency's former heads of state and government present, Your Excellency, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs and the regional integration of Ghana representing the Your Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, Chairperson of the AU Commission, Your Excellencies, members of the Peace and Security Council, Your Excellency Ambassador Bankole Adeoye, Commissioner of Political Affairs, Peace and Security of the African Union, distinguished representatives of various AU organs and the RECs present, distinguished invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, all protocol observed. First of all, I wish to express my sincere gratitude and those of the members of the Peace and Security Council for the warm reception accorded to the Peace and Security Council and other participants by the government and people of Ghana since our arrival here in Accra. We have been enjoying the beautiful city of Accra and the delicious traditional food of Ghana. I thank you so much, Mr. President. It is my honor to be here today in my capacity as chairperson of the Peace and Security Council for the month of March 2022 to contribute to the critical topic of unconstitutional changes of government, a challenge which is hampering our continent at the moment. I have to say that there is no right time like now for our continent to brainstorm with a view to addressing this scourge. I'm glad to know that this reflection forum brings not only AU member states and AU organs, but also civil society organizations and institutions across the continent. The composition of participation gives us a confidence that the outcome of this forum will reflect the views of the majority from the grassroots level as civil society organizations work very closely to the people on the ground. All agree with me that their views on this topic are critically important. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is sad to say that today, in the history of the African Union, since its establishment, it is the first time for 4 member states, Sudan, Mali, Republic of Guinea, and Burkina Faso, to be on suspension at the same time. All suspensions are due to unconstitutional changes of government. This is a wake-up call for Africa and its organizations, from the national to the continental level, to seriously reflect on governance structures. The Peace and Security Council has been deeply concerned with the resurgence of coup d'etats in the continent, and without failure as a standing decision-making organ and on behalf of all AU member states, the PSC has been consistent and firm on issues of military takeovers and any other form of unconstitutional changes of government in line with AU's instruments. The AU has a zero-tolerance policy on unconstitutional changes of government, and this is what is guiding the Union. Furthermore, the PSC has been backing up and supporting the decisions of the regional economic communities and regional mechanisms on their decisions with regard to coup d'etats. An excellent example is the decisions of the ECOWAS Authority on the situations in Mali, Republic of Guinea, and Burkina Faso. I want to emphasize here that the PSC's efforts will not stop here, but will be enhanced. Our continent faces threats in the peace and security landscape, but the most critical issue to be considered is the issue of governance at our national levels. It is regrettable, Your Excellencies, that in some circumstances we have been in denial and have considered it a taboo to admit that our governance structures are facing challenges that need to be addressed. This has largely been a result of the sensitivities about the interface between sovereignty and AU instruments on democratic governance, particularly Article 23, subsection 5 of the African Charter on Democracy, Elections and Governance. If we don't diagnose the problem, we will not be able to treat it. The PSC at its 1030th meeting held in September 2021, when considering the issue of military takeovers in the Republic of Guinea, for the first time decided to request the AU Commission to undertake a comprehensive analysis of the root causes and impact of unconstitutional changes of government arising from non-consensual and politically manipulated democratic processes. This is clear evidence that we are realizing that we need to reshape our thinking as we strive together to promote constitutionalism, democracy, inclusive governance, to strengthen peace, security, and stability under the framework of the African Charter on Democracy, Elections, and Governance, as well as the ever closer alignment of the African peace, security architecture and African governance structure. In addition, in January 2022, the PSC, under the chairmanship of Ghana, held an open session on promotion of constitutionalism, democracy, and inclusive government to strengthen peace, security, and stability in Africa, end of quote. And decided to hold a brainstorming seminar on the peace, of the peace and PSC and other relevant stakeholders on unconstitutional changes of government in Africa, and Ghana volunteered to host the event. I would like to mention that this reflective forum is a product of the outcome of the PSC decision aimed at finding ways to address the issues of unconstitutional changes of government. If we fail to take into account the will and legitimate expectations of our citizens, or continue to manipulate our constitutions, we will continue to create a recipe for more popular uprising, military takeovers, and other forms of unconstitutional changes of government. All this will be a result of frustrations of citizens who are failing to find solutions to their concerns. Though under no circumstances the continent should embrace situations of unconstitutional changes of government, it is our responsibility to ensure that as leaders we adhere to values of democracy and good governance and address legitimate concerns of our citizens as a preventative measure. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, let me conclude by emphasizing that in this forum, we need to be as candid as possible to allow the AU to gather genuine first-hand information which will form the base for the report to be submitted to the extraordinary summit in May 2022, in which the issue of unconstitutional changes of government will be part of the discussion. Once again, I thank AU Commission for the organization of this event of critical importance and appreciate the efforts of Ghana for hosting this important event. As Chair of ECOWAS, this is an exemplary action which needs to be emulated by other regions of Africa. I thank you for your attention.
One more time, a round of applause for the chair. We're grateful to you, Your Excellency, Prof. Mafa Sajamane, Permanent Representative of the Kingdom of Lesotho to the African Union and Chair of the AUPSC for the month of March 2022. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, clearly from the submission of the Chair, we cannot diagnose the problem. If we cannot diagnose the problem, then we can't treat it. For this reason, we're pleased to be joined by our partners and strategic sponsors, ladies and gentlemen, the UNDP, International IDEA, ISS, or SIWA. Please, let's acknowledge them with a round of applause. Making a statement on behalf of our partners is the International IDEA Regional Director for Asia and the Middle East, representing all our partners, Dr. Roba Sharamu.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, the Chairperson of the African Union, Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security, members of the AU Peace and Security Council present, representatives of the UN agencies present, representatives of the regional economic communities and other organs of the African Union, all the distinguished participants and invited guests, all the representatives of the civil society and partner organizations present, good morning. It gives me great pleasure to present these brief remarks on the behalf of the partners of African Union, particularly the International IDEA, which I represent, United Nations Development Program, AISA, as well as Institutes for Security Studies and OSEA, and also other strategic partners present. Your Excellencies, we want to really thank the government of Ghana for hosting this very important event. I think it goes without saying that Ghana, as a republic, has been a country that has been championing a united Africa from many, many years ago and living the spirit of a united Africa. And today, discussing the aspects of unconstitutional changes of government really brings us back to looking at the foundation of the African states and what the aspiration of the African people are. As partners to the African Union, we appreciate and support the African Union and its organs in addressing the unconstitutional changes of government. Speaking before me, Professor did articulate really that today we have about 4 African Union member states suspended for having unconstitutional changes of government. Research has been done, and it actually reveals that since 2019, we have had 7 unconstitutional changes of government, which are basically military coups. We have had other forms of unconstitutional changes of government, whether it's popular uprising, whether it's extension of term limits of presidents, whether it's other aspects which undermines operations of legislature, and many others. We have also experienced the closing of the civic space, which have been banned from, let's say, not really doing their sort of non-state activities that are quite essential. We want to thank our partners, United Kingdom Foreign and Commonwealth Development Office for support, and also other partners who have supported all the other partners that I've spoken about. Your Excellencies, the issue of unconstitutional changes of government happens at a time when, if we look back, the years of 2000 and early 2005, there is when it's the golden years of Africa, where we have more and more democracies emerging. Over time, as a recent report of the international idea, the global set of democracy has shown, globally there's a decline in the number of democracies across the world, in beginning with even US, Brazil, and others. In Africa, 11 countries have kind of backslided in terms of their rating. That shows that they're quite a challenge. It reveals a number of things. That areas where we are having unconstitutional changes of government is countries which are having governance deficit, ineffective legislatures, challenges in implementation of laws, inadequate or weak economies. If you look at the Sahel region, the climate change and instabilities and economic deprivation is a factor that continues to undermine ability of state to function. Your Excellency, we have seen the socio-economic pressures, which we are afraid the COVID pandemic will actually going to enhance the fragility of African states at many levels. We have seen issues of terrorism that continues to undermine various African governments. We continue to see instabilities emerging in areas where there's been an overstay, let's say, in power by certain African leaders. The issues about political dynasties across Africa is quite worrying. Looking forward, Your Excellency, I want to say that all is not lost. I want to commend the African Union for its own internal reform that continues to improve the effectiveness of the Union. I want to call upon African Union member states to really implement key protocols and charters that the African Union member states have signed, that actually the burden of proof, Your Excellency, is on the member states rather than the African Union. I think there's really need for greater coordination and support for the normative frameworks, for the policies, for the shared values that the African Union drives that needs to be inculcated at the member states level. The Union will only be as good as the member states are. I think that is what really we need to take forward. The harmonization of APSA, Africa Peace and Security Architecture, and Africa Governance Architecture, Your Excellency, will make this continent a better place. And that's what we believe as partners. Your Excellency, going forward, we really look forward to the effective operation of African Peace and Security Council. And I think the communique released on the 27th of January on promoting constitutional and democracy inclusive governance is a key statement and a spirit towards which we can move forward. Finally, Your Excellency, we want to really call upon the member states in reviewing and implementing existing frameworks and improving the sanctions regime. And I want to actually thank the ECOWAS for taking the lead in this. And so we call upon the regional economic communities across the board, whether it's Horn of Africa, Central Africa, and across the continent, to really work closely with AU in strengthening and implementing this. We want to thank UNDP really for also coming up with a transitional facility that will be utilized by the AU and other regional economic communities to support member states coming out of political instability. Looking forward really to inculcating a culture of good quality constitutions, electoral laws, and quality elections, which is really important, and human security ideals that my good friends from the Institute for Security Studies are also driving. Finally, Your Excellency, as partners, we commit to do more research, to investigate the drivers of unconstitutional changes of government, particularly military coups, and what is happening within our own defense sectors, and also looking at how to involve non-state actors in promoting research, particularly on issues around popular uprising, which has been very common in Africa. Your Excellency, we look forward to a robust discussion on between partners and looking at really how to strengthen preventive diplomacy and preventing conflicts and violence before they do occur. Your Excellency, with those few remarks, as partners, we really look forward to a robust discussion of a review of policy frameworks, review of practice, and theories. I think there are a lot of think tanks in the room to look at really what is ailing Africa and get out of this. God bless Africa. Thank you very much.
And may God bless you, Dr. Roba Sharamo, for your warm and progressive views. This morning, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I give to you the true wealth of Africa, her youth, here represented by the Social Affairs and Political Affairs Officer of the All Africa Students Association. Please make welcome Miss Mercedes Rowi Asamani.
The President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the former President of the Central African Republic, the representative of the Chairperson of the African Union, Commissioner Bankole Adeoye, representing the Chairperson of the African Union, Honorable Kweku Sapon, representing the Minister of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana, Chairperson of the African Union Peace and Security Council, the Ambassador of the Kingdom of Lesotho, representatives of international organizations, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. We have gathered here today to reflect on our common future as Africa, especially in the light of the recent unconstitutional changes to democratically elected governments. No one feels the brunt of these unfortunate incidents in the sub-region than women, children, and young people. School closures due to COVID have already left a gaping hole in our literacy advancement. Further disruptions to school systems and social infrastructure will put at risk the future of the next generation. As young people and students from all over the continent under the banner of the All African Students Union, which represents over 170 million students, we are happy to be here at this forum to convey the voices of the young people regarding recent developments in the sub-region, which threatens to erode all the gains we have made in building a peaceful and secure Africa. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, there can be no peace and security without development and inclusion, just as there can be no development without peace. This critical nexus of peace, unity, and development played an important role in the formation of the Organization of African Unity, non-African Union. And it is for these reasons we must continue to address the root causes of conflict and insecurity in the region, to completely silence the guns, while raising the flags of hope, of economic growth, of development, of inclusion, of peace, of demarginalization, and of greater investment in the youth. The youth of Africa commend the efforts of President Macky Sall of Senegal, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and your peers in addressing the emerging threats arising from military interference in the sub-region. Your joint efforts to maintain peace and inclusion, which are drivers for development on the continent, have not been any different in Ghana. Under your sterling leadership, Ghana has always remained committed to promoting youth participation, gender equality, demarginalization, investment in the youth, and the promotion of democratic values. Despite the initiatives and efforts of the African Union in maintaining peace and stability on the continent, there have been numerous challenges that have been impediments to achieving these lofty targets. This is not one of the many occasions to chastise the African Union or to apportion blames, but one to rally together as a people, bound by the spirit of Pan-Africanism, to remind ourselves of how far we have come, where we are headed, and how the emergence of unconstitutional changes of government remains the greatest obstacle in our way of achieving the Africa we want. And it's for this reason have we all gathered to reflect on these mishappenings and to proffer solutions. There are no better partners for growth, development, and peace of the continent than the African youth. For Africa to overcome the shackles of the past and to take its rightful place in the world, the youth must not be far from decision-making tables. On this August occasion, we as African youth recommit to channeling our productive energies to ensuring we are active agents of change for the peace, security, and prosperity of the African continent. We use this opportunity to further pledge to use our intellect and ingenuity to serve as a catalyst for the development of inclusive socioeconomic systems that promote equitable resource distribution and development, job creation, and access to opportunities, as well as people-centered and accountable government, in order to ensure a lasting peace that births development on the continent. Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, we are confident this forum will share ideas that will usher us into a new era of African greatness. We wish you all fruitful deliberations. Thank you.
She represents the hope and future of the continent. Please, one more time, a round of applause. Mercedes Roya Samani for all of Africa's youth. This morning, it is proper that we receive a word also from the representative of Senegal as the chair of the Africa Union. Would you please make welcome Ambassador Mohamed Lamine Thal.
Son Excellence, M. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, président de la République du Ghana et président de la conférence des chefs d'État et de gouvernement de la CEDEAO. Excellence, Madame Catherine Samba Panza, ancienne présidente de la République centrafricaine. Excellence, Monsieur le vice-ministre des Affaires étrangères et de l'intégration régionale de la République du Ghana. Excellence, ambassadeur Bankole Adewoye, commissaire aux affaires politiques, à la paix et à la sécurité de l'Union africaine. Excellence, professeur Mafa Sejanaman, représentant permanent du Royaume du Lesotho auprès de l'Union africaine, président du CPS pour le mois de mars 2022. Mesdames et messieurs les ambassadeurs, mesdames et messieurs en vos rangs, titres et qualités. Je voudrais avant tout transmettre les fraternelles salutations et félicitations que son Excellence M. Macky Sall, président de la République du Sénégal et président en exercice de l'Union africaine, adresse à son Excellence M. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, président de la République du Ghana et président de la conférence des chefs d'État et de gouvernement de la CEDEAO. Il forme aussi des vœux de plein succès pour cet important forum de réflexion de l'Union africaine consacré au changement anticonstitutionnel de gouvernement en Afrique, forum qui arrive à point nommé. Je tiens à adresser mes sincères remerciements au gouvernement et au peuple ghanéen pour leur hospitalité chaleureuse et à féliciter le Ghana et dire toute notre gratitude à son Excellence le président Akufo-Addo pour l'accueil de cette importante rencontre qui porte sur une thématique d'une grande urgence. Excellences, Mesdames et Messieurs, ces dernières années, un phénomène que l'on croyait dépassé et enfoui dans l'histoire du continent a ressurgi avec une actualité brûlante. Il s'agit des coups d'État militaires, pour parler communément, et pour parler de manière plus juridique et générale des changements anticonstitutionnels de gouvernement. En l'espace de 3 ans, l'Afrique a connu pas moins de 5 renversements de gouvernements légalement constitués, sans compter les tentatives avortées. Ce retour indésirable des régimes militaires, une sérieuse remise en cause des nombreux acquis de l'Afrique, obtenus au prix d'efforts et de sacrifices colossaux depuis les années d'indépendance, sur le plan de la démocratie, de la bonne gouvernance de la promotion et du respect des droits de l'homme et l'état de droit, sans oublier les avantages socio-économiques s'y rapportant. De la situation sécuritaire déjà intenable, crise politique, conflits armés, terrorisme, à l'extrémisme violent et aux défis économiques accentués par la pandémie de Covid-19, il faut, c'est-à-dire une Afrique pacifique, intégrée et prospère, risque de rester pour de longues années encore un vœu pieux. Autant nous déplorons certaines situations de malgouvernance, de déficit démocratique, de problèmes économiques ou sécuritaires en Afrique, autant nous estimons que nous saurait être invoqués pour expliquer encore moins justifier la prise du pouvoir par l'armée. Sous ce rapport, il y a lieu ici de se féliciter du rôle joué par les organisations continentales et régionales, en l'occurrence l'Union africaine et la CEDEAO, suite au renversement de l'ordre constitutionnel en Afrique de l'Ouest en particulier. En dépit des difficultés inhérentes à la gestion de pareilles situations, se caractérisant par leur soudaineté et dont nous ne sommes pas encore sortis, il conviendrait de relever la spontanéité et la fermeté de leurs réactions sans complaisance qui ont été à la hauteur des nouveaux défis posés par le phénomène. Il y va assurément de la crédibilité de nos institutions et de l'exigence de respect de nos cadres juridiques et politiques en matière de démocratie et de bonne gouvernance, qui n'est pas négociable. Toute violation de ces instruments normatifs doit donner lieu sans concession aux sanctions et mesures prévues pour éviter les effets d'entraînement et de contagion préjudiciables pour un continent comme le nôtre. Ce forum arrive donc à un moment crucial. Il nous offre, dans la perspective du sommet extraordinaire de Malabo de mai prochain, une occasion de réflexion et d'échanges approfondis sur la résurgence d'un phénomène de souvenir pour l'Afrique, non sans assombrir son image de marque. Nous avons espoir que cet exercice débouchera sur une analyse complète, objective, sans complaisance et avec la lucidité requise du phénomène, non seulement dans ses causes apparentes et sous-jacentes, mais aussi son impact sur la marche de nos pays vers le progrès. Cette approche permettra sans doute de rassembler des éléments de convergence qui pourraient être consolidés ultérieurement et faire écho à des plateformes comme le Forum international de Dakar sur la paix et la sécurité en Afrique, afin de constituer la base de notre action commune dans la prévention des changements anticonstitutionnels de gouvernement en Afrique. En tout état de cause, et je vais terminer par là, le renforcement des institutions étatiques, le redoublement des efforts pour relever le niveau de vie des populations, sans omettre la professionnalisation des armées nationales, pour ne citer que ces aspects, doivent demeurer des pistes pour remédier à la recrudescence des coups d'État en Afrique. Je souhaite plein succès à nos travaux et vous remercie de votre aimable attention.
We're grateful to the chairperson of the Africa Union, His Excellency Macky Sall, speaking to us through his representative, Ambassador Mohamed Lamin Thiaw. Thank you very much. This morning, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is proper that we receive a special statement from the chairperson of the African Union Commission. To deliver this address on his behalf is the Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security at the AU. Make welcome His Excellency Bankole Adeoye.
Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic of Ghana and Chairman of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government, Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs, and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana, chairperson of the Peace and Security Council of the African Union, and distinguished members of the Council, members of the Diplomatic Corps, representatives of our development partners, ladies. Before I read the statement on behalf of the chairperson of the Commission, I would like to join Professor Mafa, chairperson of the Peace and Security Council, in highly commending the cuisine of Ghana. I'm sure, Mr. President, Excellencies, you will know where I'm going to. I'm a Nigerian, and we have the issue of jollof rice. But my message today, Excellencies, with your permission, I would like to read the statement of His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, chairperson of the African Union Commission, to this esteemed gathering. I am most pleased to thank the government of the people and people of Ghana for kindly offering to host us in this strategic engagement, reflecting on the wave of unconstitutional changes of government. I am particularly grateful to President Akufo-Addo for gracing this occasion with his presence and for doing us the great honor to officially open the forum. Your Excellency, this is a further testimony of your commitment to the ideals and vision of our African Union. It is also important to recall, Your Excellency, your Pan-Africanist leadership, which you provided to the community that resulted in the landmark AU declaration known as the Winning Consensus on the reform of the United Nations Security Council. Also noteworthy, Excellency, is your decisive initiative taken to ratify all AU instruments by the year 2018. The only country on our continent that has done so. I believe His Excellency deserves a round of applause. Today, Excellency, your leadership is inspiring. It's inspiring because the centerpiece of the challenge of unconstitutional changes of government is West Africa. You have robustly responded to the challenges given your position of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of State and Government. We are therefore proud in the Commission to be associated with the good work and the leadership you are providing, and we wish you Godspeed. Excellencies, the leadership of Africa and our citizens are genuinely concerned about what appears to be the resurgence of unconstitutional changes of government, particularly recent developments on our continent. The then OAU and now the AU, over the decades, sought to effectively respond to this plethora of challenges. Relevant normative and policy frameworks exist at the regional and the continental level. This session, therefore, is to provide a platform for broad stakeholder brainstorming on the key issues at stake. It is important that we incrementally deliver on the mandate of the African Union by recommitting to the ideals of democracy, good governance, and of course, the rule of law. Excellencies, the African Union Commission remains steady in working to effectively promote early warning, early response, conflict prevention, and synergy building amongst all stakeholders, vertically and horizontally. Most important is that this forum will feed into the AU efforts at the leadership level that will address the issues of terrorism and unconstitutional changes at the Malabo Summit. Excellencies, it is also important to emphasize that while we are challenged with the political governance issues, with military adventurism and incursion into politics, we also at the same time facing the challenges of terrorism, violent extremism, insurrection, insurgency, transnational organized crime. The forum therefore provides us this opportunity to engage openly and robustly. Excellencies, I therefore want to commend in particular the leadership shown collectively by the members of the African Union Peace and Security Council over the last one calendar month. It is important that we see our strategies and the rich array of personalities available at this session from all walks of life on our continent will enrich this engagement. I entreat our distinguished participants to help with concrete proposals using the problem-solving and innovative approaches. By doing so, let us not forget that we already have rich instruments and mechanisms, and it is necessary to operationalize these instruments. Excellencies, to this end, I entreat this forum to have an eye on the aspirations already decided by our leaders under Agenda 2063. Aspiration 3, trying to build an Africa of good governance, respect for human rights, justice, and the rule of law. Aspiration 4, a peaceful and secure Africa. And Aspiration 6, an Africa whose development is people-driven, relying on the potential of the people, particularly the youth and women. Indeed, this is why we are here today. Let me end, Excellency, by emphasizing that we must continually interface with the different tiers of government: local, national, regional, continental, parliamentary, judicial, and global. A knowledge approach and stakeholders' mobilization will be critical to weather the storms and build resilience together. Our citizens, especially the youth, think we need to do more. We need to be proactive, and we need to deliver on the benefits of democracy. Let me end on this note, Excellencies, that we appreciate sincerely the support and the leadership of the government and people of Ghana. I am also grateful that our partners have been able to support this process. On this note, the Africa we want can only be achievable when we kick out illegality, unconstitutionalism, and the military where they do not belong. It is important we kick in and support democracy, the rule of law, as well as respect for all institutional processes. Democracy and effective governance will only bring in peace dividends, which will be able to realize our Agenda 2063. I thank you so much.
One more time, ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for the chairperson of the African Union Commission, His Excellency Musa Faki Mahamat, speaking so eloquently to us through the Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security at the AU, His Excellency Bankole Adeoye. Thank you very much. In Ghana, we have gold, we have timber, we have bauxite, we have the best jollof, and the African of the Year. I give to you Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of our Republic.
The former President of the Central African Republic, members of Ghana's Council of State, representative of the current chair of the Assembly of the African Union, Ghana's Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs and Member of Parliament for Mampong, Commissioner for Political Affairs, Peace and Security at the African Union Commission, the chairperson, ambassadors and members of the EU Peace and Security Council, the UN Secretary General Special Envoy to the Horn of Africa, the Dean and members of the Diplomatic Corps, foreign dignitaries, participants, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to be participating in this forum, which is being held in our capital city of Accra. We're pleased that the Peace and Security Council of the African Union has chosen Ghana to host this important forum, whose outcome will be considered at the extraordinary summit of the AU to be held in Malabo in May this year. Indeed, we believe Ghana's strong democratic credentials, including the conduct of 8 general elections, 5 presidential transitions, and 3 peaceful transfers of power from one party to another through the ballot box in the 29-year period of the Fourth Republic, have enabled the holding of this forum to take place in Accra. Those of you who come from beyond our shores are welcome amongst the people who pride themselves on their sense of hospitality. Akwaba is our word of welcome, and I hope you enjoy your stay with us, even though brief. This forum offers a platform to engage in deliberations on a disturbing development on the continent, unconstitutional changes in governments in Africa. The significant interest in this forum is an indication of the unequivocal, unwavering commitment to constitutionalism and the rule of law, and the outright rejection of all forms and manifestations of unconstitutional changes in governments in Africa, as well as of the manipulation of national constitutions. Our unity and resolve should send a clear message to coup plotters that coups have never been and will never be durable solutions to Africa's political, economic, and security challenges. Statements condemning coups alone without corresponding action will, however, achieve little or nothing, as witnessed in recent times. This problem requires collective agreement, effective deterrence, bold action, and equally important, adequate preventative measures. Ladies and gentlemen, it has taken us a long time for a consensus to emerge in our country, Ghana, and indeed in Africa, that the democratic form of governance is preferable. We have certainly come a long way, but we should not take it for granted that everybody has accepted democracy as the preferred mode of governance. There are those who hanker after authoritarian personal rule because they claim Africa is underdeveloped and democracy is cumbersome and we need to get things done in a hurry. There are those who seek shortcuts to office to exercise power without limits. And there are those who have no respect for free choices of our sovereign peoples because they do not accord with their so-called ideological preferences. We still have some work to do to convince such people that we are all safer under democracies. According to the African Center for Strategic Studies, 18 African leaders have either modified or eliminated constitutional term limits in the past 2 decades. In addition, another 8 resisted efforts to institute term limits, bringing the number of countries lacking constitutional restraints on political power to 24. This represents almost half of the number of countries on the continent. In contrast, the same source notes that 21 countries upheld term limits, and 15 now have them in their constitutions. The average time office holders have been in power in the 21 countries that have respected term limits is 4 years. In most of the situations where incumbents have not respected term limits, they've argued that the basis for hanging on to power is in response to popular pressure by their people to remain in office, and that term limits have no meaning in poor and underdeveloped societies where uplifting citizens is of the highest priority. Others also believe that leaders should remain in office if they continue winning elections. However, the electoral processes that have been used to set term limit extensions or removals in Africa have often been marred by allegations of widespread irregularities. Ruling parties that ply this route usually enjoy near total control of most, if not all, the levers of government and the electoral machinery. Consequently, African peoples have paid a steep price for efforts by leaders to circumvent constitutional term limits. Upwards of 90% of the 24 countries that either lack term limits or circumvented them experience various levels of civil unrest and political instability, including coups d'etats. The continent's democratic progress is threatened by such events. According to the annual risk of coup report, Africa has experienced more coups d'etats than any other continent, an unsavory statistic. Also, 30% of all coup attempts on the continent have occurred in democracies. As current chair of the ECOWAS Authority of Heads of States, I've witnessed directly the devastating effects the coups d'etats and attempted coups have had on the region. There have been at least 3 such occurrences in Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso, and an unsuccessful attempt in Guinea-Bissau. As some of you may know, the AU and other regional economic communities, such as ECOWAS, have identified a myriad of factors underpinning unconstitutional changes of government. Among them are, according to the AU Peace and Security Council, and I quote, deficiencies in governance, political greed, mismanagement of diversity, failure to seize opportunities, marginalization, human rights violations, unwillingness to accept electoral defeat, manipulation of constitutions, and their revision through unconstitutional means to serve personal narrow interests, unquote, and so on. Even more worrying, the expression of social discontent by the citizenry against these factors, usually through protests, has often been met with varying degrees of repression, coercion, violence, and further consolidation of the status quo. Is this the Africa we want? The reappearance of coups in Africa, in all its forms and manifestations, must be condemned by all, since it seriously undermines our collective bid to rid the continent of the menace of instability and unconstitutional changes in government, as currently defined by the frameworks enshrined in the Lomé Declaration, the Africa Charter on Democracy, Elections and Governance, and other important regional and continental instruments. Unconstitutional regime changes retard a country's growth. As much as the drivers are largely domestic, the international dimension cannot be overlooked. Foreign involvement in fomenting unconstitutional changes, often in favor of repressive governments, foreign economic interests, and other would-be geopolitical benefits, are contributory factors. Some foreign entities regard coups in Africa as a means of enhancing their regional ambitions. As such, they engage in all sorts of disinformation campaigns in a bid to disparage the authority of democratically elected governments and instigate opposition protests against incumbents. In implementing existing continental and regional instruments and protocols, defaulting member states are condemned and suspended from the activities of continental and regional bodies, and individual coup makers are sanctioned. However, the reality is these sanctions have not been applied uniformly. While we're quick to sanction military coup leaders, civilians who achieve similar ends via the manipulation of constitutions to remain in power, for example, go without sanctions, although their actions are clearly prohibited in our legal instruments. This means that the existing frameworks need to be strengthened to capture such infractions. Indeed, the African Union and its precursor body, the Organization of African Unity, cognizant of the negative implications of unconstitutional changes of government on the overall continental security governance process, adopted several measures in response to the phenomenon, as contained in continental normative frameworks, such as the Lomé Declaration of 2000, the AU Constitutive Act, the African Governance Architecture, July 2000 Solemn Declaration of the Conference on Security, Stability, Cooperation and Development, and its July 2002 Memorandum of Understanding, and various instruments adopted within the framework of the new Partnership of Africa's Development, NEPAD, including the African Peer Review Mechanism, APRM. It is good to note that this forum will inter alia discuss and reflect on these normative frameworks, identifying gaps and loopholes to make them more adaptable and responsive to the contemporary governance, peace, and security challenges of the continent. With the array of governance and security experts gathered here today to deliberate on the issue, with a view to contextualizing the root causes and formulating appropriate responses, I have no doubt that this forum will live up to expectations. We should be guided by the principles of fair and equal application of our rules. I'm looking forward to receiving the Outcome Accra Declaration document, including key recommendations on the way forward. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have to look far back into history to see that a stable period of constitutional government and intelligent management of the economy leads to prosperity. I believe in Africa's immense potential for greatness. I believe the stable democracies in Africa can help unleash energies of the African peoples to inspire the transformation of the continent. This can be Africa's century. We can claim it if we believe in ourselves and in our peoples. Accordingly, ladies and gentlemen, I declare the AU Peace and Security Council Forum on Unconstitutional Changes of Government duly open. May God bless Mother Africa and us all. I thank you for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of our Republic, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, another round of applause, please. You may please be seated. Many thanks to you, Mr. President, for those thought-provoking words, coupled with your actions that have given us enough impetus to get into the next session in a frank and very robust manner to achieve sustainable means to end unconstitutional governments in Africa. Mr. President, a few announcements. Right after the end of this proceedings, we shall invite the following groups to please make their way outside to position themselves at the backdrop for the photographs with the President of our Republic and the official party, the AU strategic partners and sponsors, the heads of AU organs and specialized institutions, our heads of RECs and RMS, AU Peace and Security Council ambassadors, and other AU ambassadors present. Right after the anthems, please make your way outside. Hold yourselves in readiness for the group photograph. And now, please rise for the anthems of the African Union and Ghana. Go out, I definitely invite you to join us at the frontier in the company of the official party for one photograph, please. Joining the President of our Republic will be the former President of Transition of the Central African Republic, together with the representative of Senegal as the chair, the Commissioner for Political Affairs representing the chair of AUC, the permanent representative of the Kingdom of Lesotho, the Deputy Minister for Foreign Affairs, Mercedes Asamani, representing the youth, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. The rest of us in the hall, please be seated. Please be seated, ladies and gentlemen. We're grateful to you, Mr. President. We wish you a very productive day. May God bless you.